Hi, I'm David Bonacera, and I'm here to talk to you about a very controversial issue in natural stone. It's called crystallization, or what some people call vitrification. We're going to get to the pros and cons of this right now. With us, we have Dr. Fred Houston. Dr. Fred, thank you for being here.
Thank you, David.
I appreciate it. Okay, so there's all these pros and cons going on about crystallization and stuff like that. You got the good, the bad, and all people that don't know what they're doing. But what's really the nuts and bolts of this?
Well, first let's find out what crystallization really is. It's a polishing process that was developed probably somewhere back in the 1960s in Spain, was brought from there to Puerto Rico, and then from Puerto Rico to the United States. It's a polishing process that uses three primary components in what we call the crystallization fluid. The first being an acid, the second being some waxes, and the third being a compound known as a fluorosilicate. Now, you also use a floor buffing machine, and you use steel wool. The steel wool actually acts as a catalyst. It creates heat that catalyzes a reaction, which I'll describe right now. Basically what happens is the acid attacks the calcium in the marble or the limestone and opens it up. It's kind of like etching a stone, but it happens very quickly. And then what happens is the waxes, and more importantly the fluorosilicate, comes in and locks into the surface of the stone and creates a new compound on the surface of the stone, going from a calcium carbonate to what is now called a calcium fluorosilicate. So it creates a new layer on the surface of the stone.
Okay, so acid is not good for calcium-based stones.
No, because acid will eat it away.
And this process is acidic.
Yes, but I must clarify. You know, the traditional polishing method also contains an acid.
But that's very mild, and the stone can still breathe.
And it's gone. When you polish a stone, you vac it up, you rinse it, you neutralize it, it's gone. With crystallization, you actually trap the acid between the calcium, between the marble, and the fluorosilicate layer itself. So moisture gets in there just from simple, vapor, and it starts eating away at the stone.
Wow. Okay. Does this change the compound of the stone?
Yes, it changes it to what is known as a calcium fluorosilicate.
And that enables it so it cannot breathe at all?
It doesn't breathe at all, no.
Okay. So if it can't breathe, why are they doing this?
Well, there's several reasons. First, it's a monetary issue. Secondly, it's very easy to do. I mean, I hate to say this, but you can teach a monkey how to crystallize. If they can operate a floor machine and hold a spray bottle, they can crystallize a floor. And just lack of education. They don't know. They don't know any better.
Yeah, I've actually had some guys work for me who were guys who worked at night for other companies who crystallized, and they didn't cut the mustard, and I couldn't hire them because they didn't know anything.
That's all they knew.
That's all they knew was to spray and buff.
Yep.
And that was it. Okay, so in Las Vegas, there's a lot of crystallizing that goes on.
Yes.
Because it runs 24/7.
Correct.
How long have they been doing that?
Oh, they've been doing it probably since the early 1970s.
So you really shouldn't use this on a floor?
No, I would not.
Okay, but it's been going on.
Yes.
And there's a lot of companies who have a lot of muscle who are saying that it's fine for a floor, it won't hurt the floor, and all that. But if it's not supposed to be done, then what's the option, the other option of working it?
Instead of going with the crystallization process, there's several actually. There's a new process out now that uses what they call a maintenance pad. It's an abrasive pad that actually goes on a burnisher, and the burnisher being a high-speed buffer, where you can actually polish the floor with this burnisher and this pad dry without water. Because the drawback to using traditional polishing methods has always been it's wet. You got to have water all over the place. You got to have a wet vac, and to do that, say in the middle of a casino when guests are walking all over the place, becomes very difficult. So that was the advantage to crystallization.
How old is that process, the dry one you were talking about?
It's fairly new. It's the last couple of years.
Okay, but currently, the mechanical is a far better process because it enables the stone to breathe.
It enables the stone to breathe.
And the polishing.
The actual shine on the stone lasts longer, and it looks better.
Okay, so let's talk about lasting value, because a lot of times when I'm going into homes, they talk about how they got such a great price on the last time they polished, and now I'm really excessively expensive. Except when I look down at the floor, it's all orange peel.
Yes.
And I know that it's been crystallized, and the customer just really doesn't know about it.
Well, the customer needs to be educated. You know, a lot of the contractors out there that are not crystallizing, that are aware of the dangers of crystallization, will actually explain to their customers and educate their customers, look, this is what this does. If you're here in Vegas, you just have to go to some of the casinos that have been crystallizing for years, and the floor literally doesn't even look like marble anymore. It's so pitted, it's so destroyed. One casino, I won't mention a name, looks like someone put 50 coats of wax on it. I don't think that floor has ever been honed. It's just continued to build and build and build the recrystallization, and it's falling apart.
But you should at least cut the floor, what, every 2, 3, 4, 5 years?
If you're using the crystallization process,
Yeah, I mean, you
yes.
have to open the store to
Yes.
breathe. If it doesn't breathe, it's going to suffocate the stone, it's
Exactly.
going to fall apart.
And if you wait too long, the damage may be beyond repair. I had a floor one time that was so heavily crystallized. We went in to cut the floor, and when we cut the floor literally turned to powder. It was so damaged. The crystallization at that point in time was holding the stone together.
Not good.
Not good.
So, homeowners out there, business owners who are watching this, do they know how bad this process
No.
is?
Homeowners especially, they're just not educated. They don't know.
Well,
All they want
homeowners are kind of, how much does it cost? And
I want to
and-
see it shiny.
And when you're going to do it, yeah, and they
Yeah.
think you're getting the same bag of potato chips in 2 different stores, and you're not. Contractors are entirely different. So then I guess if in Las Vegas they're doing 24/7,
Correct.
is it a necessary evil?
Well, it's not a necessary evil. First of all, you have the issue of environmental issues with the product. When you combine steel wool with the acid, especially in the crystallization fluid, you have steel wool fibers, you produce a harmful gas, and you breathe that in, and it affects your lungs.
Okay, so it has environmental issues.
Yes.
Is all the stuff on the MSDS sheet? Because
Yes.
we know the people the guys who are going out there don't have an MSDS
Half of them
sheet
don't
on
know what it is.
MSDS sheet, material safety data sheet, folks.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is well, it's not a problem, but here's what the issue is. If you look at a material safety data sheet for crystallization and steel wool, in order to use that particular process, you could close every crystallization company down tomorrow if they were made aware of this. And that is, you need to be in a self-contained breathing suit, a space suit, in other words, in order to use it properly, covered from head to toe.
Okay, so the question is this: if you're in a home and you have children, this can get into your air vac system,
Yep.
HVAC, same with the business.
Yep.
If they're doing it at night, they're coming into these buildings, nobody's there, and they're doing it, you're not going to really see it because it's minute particles, but it can be airborne and get into the HVAC, causing a huge environmental problem. And if you think flues were bad, hey, try some metals
Right.
on for size.
And not only that, it'll affect pets. It'll affect birds.
Really? Yeah, birds are always the ones that you can always tell.
Well, in the old days, they used to use canaries to go down the mine shafts to see if there was a gas there. And
So
actually,
if
I
it's
heard of-
safety is an issue, we're talking about the membranes. And the membranes, of course, are the ears, the mouth, the nose, and the eyes.
Correct.
Okay, so are these people, I mean, if I'm seeing them do it all the time, I know they're not wearing gloves because it can burn your skin.
Yep, absolutely.
So if it can burn your skin, then you have gloves. You should wear eye goggles anyway if you're using any type of chemical.
Right.
And you should be wearing at least a dust mask respirator.
Right.
And they're not using it. I never see anybody
No,
do this.
you
They
never-
just spray and go, and
That's right.
that's the way it is.
They think it's an entirely safe product because they're not reading the MSDS sheets, and no one has ever told them any different.
So the homeowners and the people in the buildings can be affected by this process, and they really wouldn't know what it is because we are dealing with metals, and metals are real nasty.
And they may never know. They could end up coming down with asthma. They could end up coming down with some kind of lung disease, irritation to the membranes, and they're scratching their head wondering, where's this coming from?
Okay, so if they're using this, I mean, why are they using it? Is it about money? Or is it because they just don't care for their people? Is it really the almighty dollar?
Well, everything always boils down to the almighty dollar. It's inexpensive to do. As I said, you can have untrained people that can actually use the process, and it's money, it's lack of education.
So is it a necessary evil?
No, I don't think it is at all.
Okay, but they're running 24/7. I'm going to be on the other side of the fence. Okay, so they're running 24/7. They don't want water on the floor. It's the fastest process going. It's just that they don't know that they really need to cut the floor open, and they don't know what kind of
Well,
damage it is.
you just said something that's totally wrong, and that is the process is faster. It's not. Many people will have you believe that crystallizing a floor, you could take 2 floors.
But you're not. It's faster, but it's not. It's easy to do.
It's easy to do.
It's just not easy to do correctly.
Correct.
So mechanical grinding is better than this.
Right. But again, you don't have to do it as often. So in the
Well, yeah,
long run,
because
it's
shining
going to...
less. I know
Yeah.
hear people all the time. They go, "Yeah, I had them polish it, but it was 6 months ago and it lost its luster."
Mm-hmm.
And that's because you can walk off the wax.
Exactly.
Okay. Any other thoughts you have on this?
Yeah, the one thing I want to say is that, you're sitting here listening to me talk and you're going, oh, who is this guy? Where is he getting all this information? Is this just a bunch of hype? It's not. I've actually done the studies. I've proven that crystallization does not breathe. I've done vapor emission studies. And my challenge to the people that are actually, selling this material is let's see your studies. They won't do it. And you know why they won't do it? Because they know I'm right.
Okay, I don't think that we have anything else to talk about. I think we pretty much did it. Fred, Dr. Fred, thank you very, very
Thank you,
much for
David.
being here. I appreciate this. And folks, I'm David Bonasera with Dr. Fred Houston, and you just got an interesting view on crystallization. Good night, folks.